Hey, welcome back to YT Financing. This is the channel where I went to business school so you didn't need to, and today we are talking about Sofi Technologies SOFI stock, and if investors should be worried about the SOFI stock crashing. Then we're going to talk about, during this crash, could the Sofi stock actually be a fantastic buying opportunity while it's trading very cheaply? Then lastly, we're going to go over their future price targets and projections, and what they're supposed to bring in for revenues and earnings for the full year of 2022. So for more SoFi stock news videos, remember to go and smash that like button right now, subscribe if you are new, comment down below your thoughts on SoFi Technologies, and without further ado, let's jump right into today's video. So if you didn't catch the last video, we went over SoFi Technologies 2022 guidance for their revenues as well as their earnings. Originally, they were supposed to bring in around $1.57 billion worth of revenue. However, due to the extension of the student loan moratorium, where students don't have to pay on their federal student loans, this has drastically hurt SoFi's revenues because they make a large portion of their revenues from refinancing student loans, which means that their overall revenues for the year of 2022 has dropped to a prediction of around $1.47 billion in adjusted net revenue for that entire year. And this new price prediction of $1.47 billion is less than the $1.5 billion estimate by analysts, so this is causing the SoFi stock price to crash. They also lowered their adjusted earnings and EBITDA guidance from the original $180 million for the full year of 2022 down to only $100 million, which is lower than the analyst consensus of $173.6 million for adjusted earnings. So that is why the SoFi stock price is falling, along with a plethora of other things, which would include rising interest rates. The student loan moratorium was extended until the end of August. However, SoFi's management actually doesn't even want to incorporate the student loan moratorium ending in the full year of 2022, and they actually just push it over till 2023, and I think that is actually probably the best option for the company right now. However, whenever the student loan moratorium does end, this is going to act as a fantastic catalyst for the SoFi stock price, thus sending it upwards. So until that happens, SoFi Technologies is forced to float their expenses for their student loans at least throughout the summertime, which is hurting their overall revenue projections as well as their net earnings. The following institutions and their respected analysts are very bullish on the overall stock price, and this is what I mean. For instance, Citi analysts actually say that they have a buy rating for the company with a price target between $20 to $17, which is a very large increase from their current stock price, which is only around $7 right now, so that would be an absolute huge win for SoFi stock investors. Likewise, Bank of America has a price target which ranges from $12 to $14, and they have a neutral rating. And the reason for this is that multiple institutions have actually cut their higher end price targets. In this case, Citi's was 20 and Bank of America's was 14, and now they have solidified around a $17 price target and a $12 price target due to the student loan moratorium being extended. Wedbush has also cut their price target from $20 down to $15, and other institutions have followed suit from cutting their price target from $17 to $14 and $18 down to $13. However, many investors think of this as bad news, but honestly it's not, because all of these are substantially higher than what the stock price is currently trading at, so we could literally double our money by investing in a SoFi technology stock, especially if your average SoFi stock price is around $7 right now, which is absolutely unbelievable. The majority of them also have buy ratings for the company, such as an outperform rating, a buy rating, and another outperform rating. So still, this company is a good investment opportunity even among analysts and bearish institutions. So overall, this is very good news for the SoFi stock price. However, investors are still very skeptical about the SoFi stock price because of the recent inflation risk, and the student loan moratorium ended up being extended and or permanent if the current administration actually cancels student loan debt. And these are the two main drivers that have caused the SOFI stock price to drop by around 70%. However, while some investors are very bearish and they're focusing on the negatives, I actually think this is a fantastic opportunity to average down your average cost as long as you're not already overexposed to SoFi stock, because over the long term, I think SoFi Technologies is extremely disruptive and they are absolutely fantastic overall. So over the long term, this could be a fantastic buying opportunity. The sell off is way overblown. The stock price is undervalued right now, especially if we compare it to their overall financials and fundamentals. So I want to start off basically talking about their past acquisitions, which you all probably know. They have a bank charter, they acquired Technisys, and they acquired Galileo. This not only is going to cut expenses, but it's also going to increase their overall long-term revenues. For instance, just their Technisys acquisition is going to cut costs by around 75 million to 85 million from the years of 2023 to 2025. So clearly, there is fantastic cost savings with each one of these acquisitions, on top of these acquisitions adding to the overall revenue sources and channels that SoFi Technologies actually has. SoFi Technologies is doing a fantastic job about being the leader in the fintech space and operating as a one-stop shop for financial services, which would include borrowing, lending, credit card savings, investing, protecting such as insurance products, and even spending. Overall, SoFi Technologies has a fantastic flywheel business model of upselling and cross-selling. They have very diversified revenue streams, and these revenue streams are supposed to grow as their costs decline. So overall, according to their fundamentals, financials, business model, and their overall competitive advantage in the finance space, everything is looking very bullish for SoFi Technologies, and it's trading at only around $7 right now, which to me is a fantastic discount. Now, that's not to say that the stock price could not continue to fall down, because it most certainly can, especially throughout the year of 2022 and 2023. However, from the end of 2022 on, I think we are going to experience fantastic stock price appreciation from the SoFi stock. And the reason I think this is, first of all, their members are increasing very rapidly. The article says, and I quote, "In quarter 4 of 2021, SoFi reported that it added 523,000 new members at a 39% year-over-year growth and sold 906,000 new products at 51% year-over-year growth, mostly attributed to robust demand for financial services products at 155% year-over-year growth." And in our last video, we already talked about how the embedded finance space is supposed to grow by around 1,000%, which is going to absolutely open up SoFi Technologies' total addressable market, or TAM, thus taking their stock price up with it with this phenomenal growth. If we look further down in the article, we get a fantastic look at SoFi's growth in their overall products. For instance, look at this amazing compounding annual growth that we see in their financial services products. And even with their lending products, we see a very stable increase in their overall growth rate, which is absolutely phenomenal. So these three things put together, their member growth, their lending products growth, as well as their financial services products growth, tells us that the company's underlying revenue sources and channels are doing absolutely phenomenal and growing at substantial rates quarter over quarter and year over year. This personally makes me extremely bullish on SoFi stock in general, and I think it should really encourage investors into SoFi Technologies to hold this company for the long term. For instance, if we look at the chart on screen, we see SoFi Technologies' projected revenue and net income in terms of billions of dollars. If we look at the blue, which is their revenue forecast, we see for 2022 that they're going to bring in over $1.4 billion of revenue. For 2023, they're going to bring in $2.14 billion, and for 2024, we see almost $3 billion, coming in at $2.83 billion worth of revenue. We also see how their net income is slowly becoming more positive, and by 2024, that is going to be our key metric, which could absolutely explode the SoFi stock price, because they are going to have a positive net income. At least that's what it says from our forecast. SoFi is expected to report revenue growth at a compounding annual growth rate, or a CAGR, of around 42.55%, and like we've talked about in our last video, anything that has a compounding annual growth rate of over 30% for the next couple of years is absolutely phenomenal. And particularly for SoFi Technologies, they are going to have this 42.55% annual growth rate for their revenues over the next 3 years, which makes this company a phenomenal buying opportunity, particularly because the current stock price to me is undervalued, and over the next 3 years, the company is going to have fantastic revenue growth. So I am extremely bullish on this company over the long term, and I would say many analysts are also bullish on this company. This is why we have the conclusion that SoFi Technologies and the SoFi stock price is currently very attractive right now for a buying opportunity, because the company, in my opinion, is undervalued. However, with that being said, I do anticipate that the stock price will be very volatile over the next year, and we could see some pullbacks or retracement in the stock price due to rising inflation rates, as well as the student loan moratorium potentially being extended again. But with that being said, the dip that we have experienced in the SoFi stock price is completely unjustified. It's trading way below their value right now. The future growth projections for the revenues are amazing, and I think the company is very cheap right now, and clearly their robust business model is working very well, as we talked about earlier regarding their different products, financial services, and revenue streams, and overall member growth. So overall, I am extremely bullish on SoFi Technologies. However, just because I am bullish, that doesn't make this a good company. For instance, I want to weigh out the positive and negatives so I can give you both sides of the equation. For instance, if we look at what Zacks thinks, they think that the company is going to bring in a loss of 42 cents per share for the entire year of 2022 with revenues of around $1.48 billion. So this is relatively negative, but let's see what Zacks rank actually values SoFi stock at. Well, if you're familiar with Zacks ranking system, it ranges from a number 1, which is a strong buying opportunity, to a number 5, which is a strong selling opportunity. And right now, Zacks rank actually says that SoFi Technologies SOFI stock currently comes in at a hold rating, which is a number 3 rating. Now, I personally tend to disagree with them quite often, but particularly if you are investing into SoFi Technologies for the long term. The stock price could literally drop down to $3.50, which we talked about in a previous video. However, even if SoFi Technologies drops to $3.50, I would absolutely load the boat, and I would make sure SoFi Technologies at least makes up 5% of my overall portfolio. However, from then on, I probably wouldn't add any more. I would just hold that position for the long term and watch it appreciate very aggressively over the next couple of years. So when determining the true value of SoFi Technologies, you have to look at both the bearish data and the bullish data. However, in my personal opinion, I think that SoFi Technologies has a fantastic growth runway ahead of them. I also want to point out that other analysts literally deem SoFi Technologies as the Amazon of finance, which is a huge compliment. They do agree, though, however, in the short term, that SoFi Technologies could suffer even more losses in terms of their stock price, or when the student loan moratorium is extended. However, with that being said, over the long term, this minor pullback, according to this article, will just be a blip on the radar, and if you're holding this stock for the long term, you could see fantastic stock price appreciation. For instance, even if we look at the stock prices that these institutions and analysts think that the SoFi stock price should be worth right now, all of them are above the current stock price of $7. The most bearish stock price prediction we have is by Bank of America out of these 5 institutions and analysts. However, even at $12, which is the low-end analyst price prediction among these 5 institutions and analysts, is still very bullish. But if we take the average price consensus or the median estimate, we could easily double our money in the span of just 12 months. However, even if that doesn't happen and it falls even lower than $7, it's an all-around really good buying opportunity. I'm actually shocked that the short interest in SoFi stock is so high right now. However, I am not shocked in the sense that it makes sense that institutions are shorting SoFi Technologies because of the current stock market environment. SoFi is a victim of overall macroeconomic factors that they cannot control, and certain institutions and analysts are blowing the student loan moratorium way out of proportion. So all of this fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's circulating right now, particularly about growth stocks and SoFi Technologies, I think is way overrated. The stock price is undervalued right now, and overall, I'm going to use this as a buying opportunity. But I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Remember to go and smash that like button right now, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next YT video.